Located at the southern tip of dreamy Seneca Lake and cradling the breathtaking waterfall-laden Watkins Glen Gorge in the center of town, the village of Watkins Glen is a most remarkable place. But don't be deceived by the quiet, cozy atmosphere of this little town. These streets have got a surprisingly loud history. The echoes of avid auto racing still reverberate across this beautiful valley every summer. But before the construction of the world-renowned racecourse just up the hill, Watkins Glen International, road races buzzed down a 6.6-mile course that ran right through the heart of town. The first Watkins Glen Grand Prix took place in 1948, and while it has been many years since race cars truly competed on the original Grand Prix circuit, every year, on a Friday in early September, the population of our humble little village temporarily grows as much as 15 times its size, as folks from all over the world come here to help us celebrate our historic motor racing heritage by partaking in a tribute reenactment of those old road races. In addition to this exciting reenactment, one visiting the Watkins Glen Grand Prix Festival will likely encounter live music, various tastings from local establishments, delicious food and merchandise vendors, and over 600 classic sports cars of many eras and marks parked along the village streets. Hi, I'm Jesse with Sidle Insurance, and today we will be attending the 2023 Watkins Glen Grand Prix Festival. This year is rather special, as it's the 30th anniversary of the festival, it's commemorating 70 years of the Corvette, and 75 years since the first Watkins Glen Grand Prix race. Today we're going to explore the sights and sounds of the festival, see some stunning classic cars, and learn a little bit about insuring those vehicles. I'm starting the day on Main Street in Montour Falls, about 2 miles from Watkins Glen, and less than 2 blocks away from the Sidle Insurance office. It's here where one of the first events of the day takes place, the Glenora Run Gathering. Soon, dozens of classic cars will hum down this short course, then rest for a brief display at the end of the street. The cars have come to a rest at the end of Main Street, and the mingling has begun. During last year's festival, we had great conversations with many of these classic car owners about their vehicles here. If you'd like to listen in on some of those chats, and also pick up some auto insurance knowledge along the way, check out our agency's short educational film, The Old Course, a locally themed lesson in auto insurance, on our YouTube channel. Our channel also features numerous other educational videos, such as 5 ways students can save money on car insurance, and work zone driving safety tips. Speaking of listening in, display time is over, at least here in Montour Falls, as now it's time to make for the main attractions down the road in Watkins Glen. It's less than a 5-minute drive from our office to the village. Many of the residents and businesses in the area are clients of ours, and in fact, back in 1972, Sidle Insurance first opened for business on 4th Street in Watkins Glen, right where the old Grand Prix course comes running into town. Well, after more than 50 years of business, despite our agency's growth and relocation to a larger office nearby, we are still very proud to be a part of this community and to service its insurance needs. I make my way to Watkins Glen. There, thousands of festival goers bask in the September air as a rush of beautiful vehicles zoom past. In particular, it's the honorary Corvettes that steal the show. They cruise down Franklin Street, then rumble out of town, headed quite literally for the hills, before motoring back into town a few moments later. This here is Sweet Pea, shown being driven by Frank O'Hare at Watkins Glen in 1950 in that photograph. I happened to be walking by just as her driver started her up. A small crowd gathered behind me as the antique car's engine sputtered to life, then coughed and purred. However, there's one car here today that sticks out a little more than all the rest. It's the original General Motors Sabre, or the Sabre. It's on display today on the courthouse lawn. The Sabre is a concept car that was the brainchild of Harley J. Earl, the same man who dreamt up the Corvette. The Sabre debuted in 1951 and has appeared around the world at shows and events, and Earl is said to have even brought the vehicle to Watkins Glen. The car is considered by some to be the most influential show car of the 1950s, and today, here at the Watkins Glen Grand Prix Festival, it's considered a guest of honor. The Sabre holds great historical value for classic car enthusiasts. And while we're on the subject of classic cars and their value, I'd like to offer a suggestion for all of you car collectors out there. If you own an antique or collector car and want to protect it financially, then you may want to consider an antique auto insurance policy rather than a regular personal auto policy. With regular personal auto policies, the maximum coverage limit for comprehensive and collision coverage is usually the actual cash value of the automobile at the time of the accident. And keep in mind that actual cash values of regular automobiles typically depreciate over time. But collector cars usually don't depreciate the way other cars do. In fact, they sometimes appreciate or go up in value. And as such, with an antique auto policy, the vehicle is usually covered for an agreed amount between you and your insurance company. Antique auto policies are also often cheaper than regular personal auto insurance policies, but this is based in part on the fact that you likely aren't driving a collector car around as regularly as you might other vehicles. Every year, the festival honors a specific mark, and 2023's honoree mark is the Chevy Corvette. After they've had their turn around the old course, the Corvettes make a pit stop at gorgeous Lafayette Park, right in the heart of town. Finally, the festival reaches its finale. The antique race cars have arrived for the Grand Prix tribute. They line up on Franklin, ready to give us a show. One can imagine how the scene harkens back to the early days of North American road racing, which were in part championed by the old course at Watkins Glen. In short time, the green flag is waved, and off they go down these habitually peaceful streets, loud and proud, making just the right amount of ruckus.
Hi, I'm Dave Sidle from Sidle Insurance. Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like assistance with your insurance needs, feel free to reach out to our team by calling 607-535-6501 or visiting us online at sidleinsurance.com.